Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us in the pursuit of excellence. My name is Josh Cadillac, and once again, you're stuck with me in the driver's seat for today's show as we learn how to stop chasing paychecks and learn to start building a business we can be proud of as part of a life that we can be proud of. We do this by talking to some of the most successful people in business to see how they've gotten where they are. We have a great show for you today because we have a great guest in Mr. Jorge Gayle. George, thanks so much for being with us.
Hey, it's good to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Totally our pleasure here. George, why don't you start off by telling everybody in your own words what it is you do?
Sure. Well, I spend a good portion of my time training individuals on how to negotiate with using the Black Swan skills, which is coming from Never Split the Difference, primarily book written by Chris Voss. We do online training, in-person training, coaching sessions, and teach them how to really use skills to collaborate in a better fashion and build long-term trust and relationships.
Good stuff. I mean, getting people to let you pass their guard is such a powerful part of the pre-negotiation we need to move forward. That idea of the pre-negotiation, because really what I picked up from Chris's work is
Hmm.
he's negotiating something different than most people are first.
That's
Right?
right.
He recognizes the way that he walks into the room and the preconceived notions that they have and what's going on with them. I got to negotiate that first in order to make progress on the real thing that we're negotiating. That's kind of the breadcrumbs, if you will. Am I getting that right?
Right on. Think about it this way. If you have someone that you're dealing with, which is most of us that have something happening in their world, might be related to the negotiation that you're doing, might not. This can be any negative environment, anything that's holding up space in their mind. I cannot have you think logically. I cannot collaborate with you in a good fashion unless I deal first with any negatives, which is honestly the opposite of what we hear many times. Ignore the negatives, don't bring in negatives. And so, dealing with those, we call those system ones, dealing with those first and eventually moving on to your logical side of the brain is what we do. But absolutely, if there's anything that's holding us back, we first want to get you to talk about it. We first want to get our counterparts, excuse me, to talk about that, liberate them from that, and then eventually we move on to what matters, which is obviously eventually making a deal too.
Good stuff. I want to float this by you, and you don't have to answer right now, but just kind of to percolate on, or if you want to answer on it, whatever. Because in what I do, I speak on real estate all over the country, and everything I talk about winds up having a negotiation component to it
Yeah,
because everything is a negotiation. I mean,
absolutely.
everything when it
Yes.
breaks down even when I'm doing analysis on a property, I'm trying to make a compelling case. I'm trying to get somebody to do something with
Yep.
the data, right?
Yep.
And so what I've leaned into with agents is the idea of when you walk in the room, what is the default perception that clients have of real estate agents?
Yes.
Because I have to deal with that. Whether or not that's reflective of how I am,
Yes.
what they think an agent's like is what I'm walking into,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so I tell them, like the studies say they think that they're lazy, they think that they're not very smart, they think that they're overpaid, and they think that they only care about getting paid. That's the intel I have on the other side before I walk in, right? I would imagine on the hostage negotiation business where Chris is, whatever we can get on the person, whatever info we can get on the person we're getting ready to negotiate would be helpful to try to prepare us for what to expect. We're going to have the conversation that might change, but right? I mean, we want to have that intel.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you'll be happy to know that I do spend around 30, 40-ish% of my time in the real estate industry
Beautiful.
on my private side, excuse me. Now, one of the great things is you have to deal with the negatives. If you ignore them, you're in for a surprise, man. You're like, it's not going to be pretty. And in real
Absolutely.
estate, you're in a highly emotional business. Like you're dealing with assets, you're dealing with many times millions of dollars. And regardless of the amount, to be honest with you, there's always like a very high historical, emotional uh,
Absolutely.
story behind this. So there might be a lot of negatives sometimes. And people, the moment that you are trying to meet them for the first time or negotiate with them, they see you as a threat. They see you as
Absolutely.
a threat. Sometimes your title alone is a threat. And many times your industry alone is a threat.
Very much so. I would agree
And
with that.
Yeah, and so dealing with it, we call these audits. An audit is what we call a preemptive label. So in essence, what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be laying out the things that are already in your mind or probably are going to be in your mind. So as an agent, right, if the other side feels that you are just in for making a profit and all you care about is yourself, I am going to lay this out. You're probably feeling that I am only here to think about my pocket,
Yep, absolutely.
right?
And so
Mhm.
it's interesting because when I try to do it, and what I found is the most successful conversation with them. And I hope you're okay with this conversation. I want to get to
Absolutely, you
the
can go ahead. This is good.
so when I'm negotiating with a client, I actually anticipate that they have that negative experience of me. I try that for the very conversation, the structure of the conversation is designed to almost expect to meet them there and to undercut the expectations. Like they're expecting me to say A, so I'm
Yeah.
saying B.
Yes.
I want to do the exact opposite so that I create this cognitive dissonance between what they expect a person that looks like the avatar that they have, that lazy never. This person's not acting anything like what I'm thinking they are, so that I don't fit in the box.
Hmm.
If I don't fit in the real estate agent box that they've defined, they're left having to deal with me for the way that I am rather
Yes.
than the way that they think that I am. And it creates, I found that it helps to remove those negatives from there. So like I'm addressing them kind of indirectly, like they're very front of mind in how I'm saying what I'm saying, but I'm not actively like, and that's one of the questions I have. I don't like actively label it. And other than saying, like, I'll say sometimes something like, hey, look, whether you use me or some other agent, this is the stuff that you should probably know, like giving them permission to use somebody else, which again is not jibing with, well, wait a second, this person's supposed to be all about the commission. Why aren't they trying to sell me their own services? Like, here's what you should know. So now it kind of sounds like friendly advice rather than, but if it's really good, polished, friendly advice, and
Yes.
it's at a better level than how they're normally thinking about this stuff, I've made my value proposition without having to come at them as a salesperson, and I leave them wanting more of what they're getting, if you will.
Yeah, and the reason you're finding success with that, Josh, is because you're different. You're becoming likable to that person. You know, each one of us have an intuition, a gut.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is picking things up faster than we can ever imagine.
Sure.
We typically teach that your conscious mind processes 40 bits of information per second. Your subconscious, your intuition, that gut, is 20 million. That's you knowing something before you even know it. And
Yeah.
so when you're dealing with someone, if you're making this person feel understood, feel heard, if they can genuinely feel that you care, then what happens is their trust. Remember, we started with how people see that trust now begins to change. And because that trust begins to change, you become a little by little more likable to them, to the point where they are willing to listen to you more and eventually possibly make a deal.
Makes sense. No, I agree. That's really where it's at. Is I think that there's three pieces on the real estate side, and I only teach real estate negotiation, so everything runs kind of through that filter. There's three things I think you need, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you know, you guys are the rock stars when it comes to negotiation. I list them as rapport,
Uh-huh.
credibility, and
Mhm.
trust. So
Nice.
rapport, that they like you;
Yeah.
credibility, that they're like, oh crap, they actually know what the hell they're talking about; and trust, wow, they know what they're talking about, and they're going to look out for me.
Yeah.
Wow, that's what I want. If I have all three of
Yeah.
those, I'm in a good place. But real estate for me, the way it's trained, trades almost exclusively on rapport building. They kind of appeal to the gut kind of thing that you're talking about, which matters. But I put forth to you, and like from a rational standpoint, the worst reason in the world to pick a real estate agent is by who's the most likable. I mean, it speaks nothing to competence or like their ability to look out for you. And so I think in particular, and I think you nailed it on the head, real estate is an overly emotional negotiation.
Yes.
And I think it's my job as the good agent to try to force more rationality into there by bringing some more rational ideas in
Hmm.
and give them these I'm going to call them like rational anchors.
Hmm.
that we come back to. So now the client is like, oh, we're gonna have to cancel this. This is whatever. Well, wait a second. Remember when we did the analysis? This was actually the best one that we could find, and these were the reasons why we were moving forward. So bring them back to some rational thoughts that they had earlier, to try to take and give them a chance to breathe within that emotional space and kind of come off of it a little bit, because managing that emotional roller coaster, I think, is part of my job too.
Yes,
Along the way, I don't know if that jives, and I'd be curious, what your thoughts
absolutely.
are.
And I'll tell you what, I'll start with the last one you said, trust. So in our online sessions, one of the questions, actually, not even only online, in person, we ask a question, what business are you in? And most people will raise their hands. I'm in this industry. I'm in that industry. I'm in, and then at the end of them talking, we show a slide that says you're in the trust business. All of us are.
All the
And
time.
so all of our skills are built on a foundation, and that foundation is tactical empathy. So tactical empathy is simply the ability for me to be able to see things through your eyes. If I take your lenses on and I put them on, see the worldview through your perspective, not mine, whether I agree with it or not, Josh, whether I agree with it or not, see it, try to understand it, what's happening, what emotions are driving you, what's that historical background is like. Why do you think the price that you have on that piece of real estate is so important, and why aren't you moving? There's all reasons and factors for that. And then eventually articulating this back to you in a format that we call a summary, right? So it's first understanding you
Yep.
and then articulating this back to you. And we want to do this 75 to 80% of the time in negotiations.
Hmm.
75 to 80%, making it more about them. And the 20% is my time. That's where I will, give you a few things that I think you should consider, talk to you about certain things we can navigate through, etc. That begins to set you aside like a person that is so different, because the majority of us do not allow the other side to speak about their wants, their needs, their desires, their headaches.
Hmm.
The moment you're able to do that, you become different.
Sure.
Now, the other piece of it, and I'll turn it back to you for this, is if that person has high emotions, aka in the real estate industry, and they're laying out a whole list of things that they feel are important to them, remember it's about them, then what you'll find is that those guards start to go down sometimes pretty quick. Every time the person talks about something that burns them, that hurts them, they begin to have an impact on their minds, specifically their amygdala. And that begins to allow you, as the counterpart, to help them navigate to an end that matters most.
I hear you, and I agree with you. I want to run this because this is actually the framework that I built on mine
Hmm.
and how I do. And it sounds similar to what you're saying, but I think that maybe I talk a little bit more than what you guys would say, and I want to see where this jives, and compare notes. My framework is this: anticipate. I anticipate the client, which is exactly what you described. Like, where are they coming from? Thoughts, needs. Like, my clients are going to have certain things about them
Hmm.
that are going to be relatively consistent, right?
Yep.
Empathy, which
Hmm.
is back to your idea. Like, if I was like that,
Hmm.
what would I care about? What would matter to me? How do I speak to that directly?
Sure.
And then step three for me is pre-negotiate. I build my conversation with that in mind to try to address those things in advance. So, like, the example I would give is when I talk to an investor client, a new investor comes in to me, I typically ask only one question.
Hmm.
That's it. Now, in real estate, they're told ask questions, ask open-ended questions, make them feel heard, which unfortunately comes off as very salesy because people are guarded initially, right? I feel like in order to have the right to honest answers, I have to earn that right in advance. So, like, why am I going to ask about budget? The second they hear budget, they're going to take that number and squeeze it back down because they don't trust me as far as they could throw me. They think I'm going to use that number to go spend all their money. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And so the question I always ask a new investor is, have you ever invested before? And if so, in what? Because when I say this anticipation thing, if they're a brand new investor, can I assume a few things about them? They're more scared than a regular investor, and they what they know about investment is probably significantly less. So immediately the kind of conversation I'm going to have is going to change. Is all right, well, look, if this is your first time, this is what you got to know. Here's what you got to look at. Whether you use me or somebody else, here's what I'm worried about in the market. Here's what I like. Like that's the kind of conversation like, hey, look, here's every like what would a good friend
Hmm.
that's you're going to invest. Okay, look, I've been investing for years. Here's what you got to look at. Here's what you got to be worried about. That's the conversation, right? And then I can start asking questions I found and find that the question answers that I get tend to more accurately reflect their real situation because now, again, that trust piece is being built that, hey, look, this person has just given me all this free help in understanding this, and they obviously understand it better. Like, I think if I anticipate, if I can land the idea in their head that, hey, this person really knows this a lot better than me, and it sure seems like they'll look out for me along the way.
Hmm.
Like the way I say it in class usually is, hey, look, they know this a lot better than me, and it sounds like if I hang out with them, they'll never let me get hurt at the rodeo. Like it's the rodeo is a scary, dangerous place. If I hang out with them, it's one of those weird things. I think like you want to land an idea, but you can't come out and say it.
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So like I always give the analogy of like dating. If I'm out on a date with a girl and I really like the girl and I want her to like want a second date, I want her to think, man, this is tremendous boyfriend material sitting across the table from me. But I can't come out and say, hey, let me tell you what tremendous boyfriend material. It has the
Right.
exact opposite effect, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's kind of this tap dance I find in these soft skills of how we land that message. Like I feel like in real estate they're so guarded on the way in that I have to do some like missionary work before I can really start getting to who they are and getting real honest answers to move the ball forward.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because what we teach is slightly a 2 millimeter shift from it, but the core is right on tack. So you are making it first about them, Josh. I mean, the moment you start asking a question for them to open up and talk a little bit about their investments, their history, etc., that's about them. And the moment they start opening up and giving you information, realize that anybody who starts to speak would like to feel heard and understood. So you're making them feel heard and understood. Now, the shift is the curiosity. So we teach curiosity a lot
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a superpower. Now you're doing it. The difference in what we teach is how to ask the question.
Okay.
So right now you're asking a what question, or tell me a little bit about your investments and things like that. The shift that we teach, that you probably read and never split the difference, or you probably seen Chris talk a lot about, are labels. Now labels are simply a verbal observation. It's something that we see, that we hear, or that we think might be happening on the other side. So if I'm going to ask you a question, what investments have you done in the past? I will shift that to the format of a label. The label starts with it seems like, it sounds like, it feels like. And so, let's say I'm dealing with you, I would ask you, it looks like you've had some previous experiences in real estate in the past,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? And the format does not seem as a big deal. It seems like, it sounds like, it looks like, doesn't seem like a big deal. However, what we have found is that the answer will be much better and more thoughtful on the other side because of the way these labels land, right? And you already are doing it, my friend. You already are repositioning about them. It's just the frame that we use to ask the questions, to
Yeah.
gather data.
I was actually trying to look at it as you were speaking, so I wasn't ignoring you because
It's okay.
I just listened
I
to
figured
another.
so.
I just listened to another one of the Black Swan books
Hmm.
from you guys just the other day. I'm trying to
Yeah,
find the
fight,
title.
fight,
Fight
fight less.
less, win more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, it was great. Great book. Great listen. Another highly recommended because it's kind of a refresher on Chris's stuff from a different perspective, but at the same time, kind of laying her on top of that. And there is so much nuance to this. And you watch people that are great, like natural negotiators. The folks that just get concessions by the way. I always think of the movie Tommy Boy. The father, he would just tell a story about a bull's ass, and next thing you know, sure, I'll take, you know, and figuring out how to put that into a framework and a structure is really
Yeah,
what you guys have done so well.
yeah, yeah.
So I want to kind of get back to, because I honestly, we could go down this rabbit hole for a while. I love this, as you can tell, George, but I want to get back to your story a little bit. What got you started doing this?
In the Black Swan, yeah, I'll tell you what. I started my career out in JetBlue back in the early days when the airline only had one airplane. I did over 15 roles. The last position I held was the head of procurement. So we controlled around $1 billion worth of spend for the airline. CEO tapped me on my shoulder one day and he's like, "Hey, we need to buy 100 airplanes, but we
Oof.
need to save $100 million in the process." And I said, "This is great." Except in my mind, I'm like, I've never done this before, and I don't even know how to negotiate like $100 million worth of stuff. and I
Definitely am.
and I had a team, so I had to go and look on like literally how to get this done. And that's how I came across. Never split the difference. Read the book, started applying like anybody else, started seeing results immediately, like the first week. And then eventually I started using the skills in the book to help persuade my boss to send me to 1 day, 2 day conferences to meet Chris. Met him there, talked to him about what the goal was. He's like, I'm in. And I had another big problem. It was expensive to bring him to New York at the time. I
Sure.
didn't have the money. My department didn't have the money. Procurement typically doesn't carry that amount of money. So I negotiated with 10 different departments, 10 directors, and they all helped me pay, using the skills, by the way, for him to come for a 2 day event. So we brought him to JetBlue for a 2 day event. He taught us the skills that you and I are talking, plus more. And we were able to accomplish the goal in 4 years instead of five. Now, the crazy thing is, we had a lot of companies that did not like us because of different challenges the airlines were going through. And we were able to navigate through that, build some amazing relationships with these companies, and at the same time, come out on the other side with the savings that we needed.
And outlast those jerks at Spirit.
Oh man, don't even get me started. I know, but you make a good point. Back then, it was fiercely competitive. Like a lot of the big
Yeah.
boys were hitting us hard, man, and we needed to stand out in certain ways. So these skills helped us a lot. 10 other departments, including the baggage service, took these trainings and adopted it to the airline back then too.
Yeah.
Then
No,
after that, I retired. I started a credit restoration for future home owners and used the profits to invest in real estate.
love it, man. Yeah, get long in that stuff. I'm actually getting long again myself. Uh, Big time. No, the market, these markets that are like this, these distressed markets are
Yeah,
great to take and extend your position.
yeah, yeah.
So I got to ask you, what do you like best about what you do?
The freedom.
Okay.
The freedom. I was not able to in my early airline days to spend time with I have a family of six, big 6 kids, so I have a big family. First two children were in the early ages of the airline. Could not spend my time with them because of the freedom that I have through teaching and through other ventures, business ventures. I can spend time with my little ones, and that allows me a lot. It feels good, Josh. It feels good
Well,
to
I'm
see
sure it
my
does.
family, man. And at the same time, the second piece of that is giving back to people who really value information and can use it to do something great in their life. That's where these negotiation skills come in.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's not having, being able to take and be productive without the guilt for the things that you have to, you
That's
know,
it, friend.
miss out on the side. It's
That's
huge.
Yeah, yeah. I learned some tough ones. So I thank God I learned.
Well, I mean, one of the crazy things is, George, and I talk to people all about this, is one of the critical negotiations when you work for yourself is the negotiation with yourself,
That's right. That
because you've got to get you to do what you need you to do. And
that
when you
is
don't
right.
have a boss to report to,
Hard.
it's hard because it's a different role, and there's really not a class that trains you
That's
for how
it.
to take and how to. And here's a crazy thing: like, you've been working yourself for years,
That's
talking
right.
yourself into and out of doing things you should do all the freaking time. You are very articulate at talking yourself into eating the double stuffed Oreos.
Yep. No,
It
I
is
love it. I love it. Actually, it's so funny because in in my teachings, I say one of the most dangerous negotiations you're going to be in is the one that you have with yourself.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah.
That jerk Josh, man, is always pulling one over on me. The one guy I can't be. So I got to ask you this, George. That's the good part. What's the toughest part of what you do? What's the part that sucks still?
Um, I tell you, it's doing the hard things, man. First, doing the hard things. I am overcoming that by running ultra marathons. Like I joined the ultra marathon community, but because of exactly that question of trying to build the mind, the body, the spirit, like into the zone of it's going to suck. Get used to that suck for a period of time. Um, and and that is the hardest thing for me. Like when I see a mountain, is like, okay, gosh, I gotta climb this mountain. And dealing with those thoughts and that environment is not an easy thing. And I think that's where a lot of people, say, I ain't doing this, or they start and then they stop. To your point earlier, entrepreneurship is it's a roller coaster, and it's hard at times. It's very hard. So yeah, for me, it's how to properly deal with that.
Well, I mean, the one that I use for that, career bodybuilding and a lot of other things that I did were, is the idea of what am I going to think about the person that comes,
That's
what
it.
do I think about the person that got to the top of that mountain?
That's
Because
it.
I get to live with that person for the rest of my life.
That's it.
That's the guy I take to the bank every single friggin' day. And the guy that climbed that mountain,
That's right.
man, if I could be that guy.
That
So
is it.
how do I be that guy?
That's
You put
it.
one foot in front of the freaking other one and you just keep going. It's amazing. You put your head down and you just keep going. You're always shocked at how far you can go. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I'll give you this. If you've never seen the clip, Facing the Giants,
Mm,
Death Crawl,
mm, mm,
YouTube that sucker, brother.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
if you put your head down and just go, you can go a lot further than you think you can. And the other piece is finding the right people to get down there on the ground with you that'll keep and hold you accountable to drive that thing out, because we all run the risk of dying with our best
That's it.
never having seen the light of day.
That's it. And I'll give you a short version of that. So my frame is exactly that, with a slight difference is, who is that George at the end of the race? Who is that George at the end of this project? And as funny as it may sound, I literally will go to that George and start talking to him at
Yeah.
the end. So that one who crossed, the one that built out, like got to the top of the mountain, how did you get there? Well, you had to bust this, you had to do this, you had like, and it's funny because nobody knows you better than you.
Yeah.
And so if you speak to that future you and you really speak to him in a very honest manner, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
He'll tell you what it took, and it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to not suck. It's going to
It's not.
suck.
Yes. Thank
But
you. I appreciate even the reference. Cool.
watch that video. Like I'm having there's a handful of videos if I'm having a bad day that I go to. Again, my CEO, me, dealing with my staff, also me. I am the HR department for me. So when
That's
I'm
it.
having a bad day, that one I'll watch Secretariat's 1973 Belmont.
Mm,
That race, man, if that race doesn't get you ready to tear the bark off a tree with your teeth, that's another good one. The end of the movie Rocky Balboa, that last fight,
that's
that last round. I don't know if you've ever watched that scene carefully when he goes down in the last round.
yeah,
There's the moment when he stands back up and he turns and looks at the champion, and the
yeah.
champion's like his hands come down and his eyes
Right.
get big. Like, what manner of man is this that
That's
keeps
funny.
coming?
That is
Oh
so
man,
funny, man. That's actually the one I actually use on the last miles when I'm doing some of these runs, because it hits home, man.
yeah, man, that thing where he sees all of his history of his life go through his mind, and he just, what is it you told the kid, you
Yeah.
know, and then he just says two words to himself: "Get up."
You
I
know?
love it, man. I
Yeah.
mean, that one gets me moving
Yeah.
every stinking time,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. It's
sometimes
life, man.
it
It's life.
is, the difference between the ones that win and lose a lot of times, I think, are the ones that are just willing to go to the coach one more time and say, God, put
Keep
me in,
going.
coach. I can go a couple more plays.
That's it. That's it.
You know?
That is
And,
it. I love
and
it.
I want to be that guy there at the end. And that I try to win that negotiation with myself as much as I can, because those patterns of winning or losing with yourself are easy to perpetuate.
They matter, man. Yeah, well said. They matter. They
They do.
matter.
Yeah, it's a thing. So, George, let me ask you. I like to put a fine point on these types of questions. You've been kind of displaying it first the entire time, but this is called the Know Your Shit podcast. So, what is the shit you know that makes you good at what you do, brother?
Ha, that's a really good question. I'll tell you, I know how to go from point A to point B, regardless of the circumstance, challenges, navigate by using these skills, the Black Swan skills, and get to the finish line in a manner that I feel pretty comfortable to say, I emptied the tank.
Nice.
I emptied the tank. And I apply that to my life as well. And that's where I think I am pretty darn good at.
And left.
Nothing left. Yeah.
That's my best. No, that's a
That,
wonderful, you know, the idea that you spend your life building yourself. And most of us are never going to take ourselves out to the salt flats, open it up, and just see how fast this thing can go. And the only way that happens is by putting those pressures on, taking those commitments on, and challenging and pushing to see how far we can go.
that's it. That's
Yeah,
it. And it's a mindset of I win or I learn, but I ain't gonna quit. I win or I learn, but you're not like I will keep showing up, man. You're gonna get tired of me.
absolutely. It's not the biggest guys, it's not the
Oh,
strongest guys.
oh,
It's the guys that freaking just show
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
And when you learn that about yourself and you prove that to yourself, you can grind far superior specimens into the dust
That's it.
because that ability to just show up is so hard,
It's
but
hard.
so valuable when you
Yeah,
have.
you apply it to any part of your life, man.
And
Yeah.
what's crazy is the body language negotiation piece then,
Mm,
because
mm,
your personal integrity is strong
yes,
and you know what you're dealing with here,
yes.
it takes and makes the rest of the negotiation so easy because you believe the person speaking. So when you say things, people just tend to believe the person speaking.
People feel it. Josh, people
Absolutely.
feel it. Like it's hard to bullshit people sometimes, like people feel it. And someone as experienced as yourself, but they'll pick it up quick.
Yeah,
They'll pick it up pretty quick.
it's a
Um,
thing.
so you can't fake those things. Yeah. So
You got to be the goods, and that's the thing, right? I mean, there's only so much you can fake. At some point, you have to actually be the real legitimate thing. So, are you taking the steps with your internal negotiation
hmm
to do the things necessary to make future you more resemble that
yes,
person that walks in the room and says something and everybody just walks out believing it?
that's it. That's it.
Um,
And it's not a one-time event. It's a process. It's a lifelong process until the day you say goodbye to this earth.
Absolutely.
Good news, it's like a must. You just keep working on it. You just keep going better and better and better. Like, most of my friends are like, "You are crazy." They tell me like, "You are nuts." Like, what the? Like when I left the airline, I remember it was 200 of us leaving. I was the only one going on my own. They're like, "Wait a minute, you're leaving a six-figure job. You're doing this. You're leaving." They're like, "Bro, like, what's wrong with you?" And it's that ability that you're talking about to be able to go internally, negotiate with yourself, and then say, you know what? It's either I die or I'm gonna die trying.
That's
I
it. Here's the thing. I mean, what's the basis of that negotiation? There's more in the tank. I
there's
make me believe enough that there's more in the tank, and the fear of not seeing what that looks like exceeds the risk that I'm wrong,
yes,
right? And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to chase and pursue this with everything I have to
that's it,
see
man.
what the world looks like, because that version of the world is one I want to live in. If
That's
I
it.
don't give myself the chance to see that, I am the one that loses more than anyone.
It's so funny you mentioned that because Chris just 2 days ago we were teaching a class. It's three of us, him being the lead instructor, and he spent some time talking, Josh, about the importance of just surrounding yourself with the right people and literally moving away from the people who are not aligned with where you want to go or have not been in the direction that you want to go. And more importantly, listening to them, like having them as friends and praying or doing whatever you want. Like that's cool stuff, loving them. But listening to people, man, that has never been in the path or done the things that you want to do is a dangerous place. Very
Yeah,
dangerous place. So
absolutely. No, I mean, one of the great gifts, George, has been this podcast because I get to talk to so many people. And, we're a couple hundred episodes in here at this point. And one from one of the early episodes, it was an entrepreneur I respect a lot. He gave me a piece of wisdom that
mm,
I still stick with. He said, I try to find ways to say yes to things. Like, hey, can you do this thing? Well, no, there's no way we can. Well, why can't we do it? What if we did this? Or what if we did that? And just that set of eyes rather than, oh, no, that's not what we do here. Well, wait a second. Maybe we could do it here. Why
mm,
don't we do it here?
mm.
Like that idea of coming to the world with saying, well, maybe this is capacity that we just haven't built in yet. Maybe that is the next idea. That is the next thing.
He doesn't shut things down just because they don't feel right or they don't like he's open to actually looking at the possibilities.
Absolutely. Coming to the world like it's an abundant place where there's a lot of opportunities out there. And, maybe this is the next one coming my way. And,
That's
you
cool.
know,
That's
yeah,
cool.
I think that I've tried to lean into a little bit, and I don't know where you stand on this, but personally, it's been very much leaning into the idea that I kind of trust above to
Yeah.
put the opportunities in front of me,
Yeah.
and I just try to execute as hard as I can for whatever's put in front of me. I don't do command level decisions on
Sure.
my end anymore.
Sure.
I'm a good foot soldier. My rifle is loaded, it's clean and it's ready to go. My boots are laced up. Tell me
Oh,
which way to march, and I'm good to go. And I'll fight like hell if I can, as long as I can, in whatever direction you tell me to go.
I love that. I love it. No, I'm a big divine person, my friend.
Beautiful,
We have a ministry, my wife and I, that we
awesome,
dedicate a good part of our life to international. After I retired from the airline, we you keep the flight benefits, so we use it to serve as much as possible. Um,
nice.
and I'll be honest, like you just hit on something so important. One of the biggest fears I have in my life, if you ever ask a question on fear, one of the biggest ones is going back to the creator saying, I left some stuff in the
Left
tank.
somebody behind.
Or,
Yeah,
like I had more fuel to go, like in the categories that matter in life. And I think about that a lot. Like I do not want to go back to my creator and say, gosh, I had 50% fuel left. I am sorry. I'd
yeah.
rather go back and saying, ain't nothing left. Thank you. Thank you for what you've given me. Thank you for everything that you've given me. And I used it.
That well done, good and faithful servant. One of the best eulogies I ever heard was somebody that said, it was a wife giving a eulogy for her husband. She said, "My husband devoted his life to making heaven a crowded place." I was like, man. And
Yeah.
the thing that I think about George is because I recognize my younger life, I know that there were opportunities that I missed
Yeah.
because of laziness and stupidity, and and I'm in the hole a little bit. I have to take and use what I've learned about those failures on my own
Okay.
choices to define how I make choices going forward to make sure that that's not happening again. Right? I know when I'm in the will of my creator and I'm doing what he put me here to do and I'm doing it as well as I can, whether
Yeah.
that's speaking to 1,000 people, which I
Yeah.
do, or that one person that needs to talk at 11 o'clock at night and I still answer my phone, give them whatever they need. I love it when I get those chances,
That's cool,
and
man.
try to take advantage of those opportunities. If they could say about the guy that they're putting in the box at the end, no matter how busy this guy was, he always took the time to help. If they could say that at the end,
Yeah.
I
I
probably
love
did
that.
something right along the way.
I love it. If I may tell you a short story along those lines, I was doing a 31-mile race, first race, my first ultra race, and I was nervous. I was like, man, I like my legs were, things were not well. I injured myself 2 weeks prior to this race, and
Oof.
this is something you don't do. And so there I go. I start off. My wife is my crew. When they ask me who's your crew, I'm like, she's my crew because you got to have a crew. And they're like, okay, great. And I had my shirt on, it's a faith-driven shirt, and the person's like, "You're gonna make it, man." Based on that shirt, I'm like, "Well, amen to that." So I jump off and I go and here's the craziest thing, I start to just talk to the creator and just start becoming grateful,
Yeah,
grateful for still having an opportunity to be here. still have an opportunity for the next chance, for the next mile. The craziest thing starts to happen, and my mind starts to shift into a positive frame.
Yeah.
I start to feel more energy for being grateful. I start to feel like, wow, this is more like things start shifting. And then I start making some jokes every time I see my wife every mile or so. I see her for water and things like that. And I'm like, I have a major problem. I have a huge problem. She's like, what is it? I'm like, today is like, I'm not getting tired today. Like, and she's making all these jokes, but I got to the finish line eventually. And here's the crazy thing. I ended up with so much energy at that finish line, so much. And I drive a lot of that to the ability of being grateful in the journey because you shift, something shifts when you're grateful for even the hardest things that are happening, man. So there's power into what you said of like, wow, I look back, I'm still here. Here are some things I want to change. I'm so grateful to still be.
Yeah. No, I mean, and there's that is a one big piece. I learned that on a job working for my dad years ago, and
Mm,
I'm enjoying talking to you so much. I got to be careful with the time here, but there was this job to take up this tile floor in this huge cafeteria, and the type of tile was that thin vinyl tile that they use in like hospitals and all that really thin. And the thing is, the thing to take the tile, that machine,
yeah,
it didn't really work particularly well. It kept jumping up on top of the tile because the tile's so thin. So we had a it was brutal getting this stuff. We had to hold the machine up under our chin and have it sit on the blade like this, and it was sitting there rattling your brains out, whatever. And it felt like you were not making any progress at all because it was coming up so slowly, and it was one tile at a time, and there's like tens of thousands of tiles. And so, like as you're looking at the tile in front of you, you're like, "This is never gonna get done."
yeah,
But then you look back at all the tiles that have come up,
that's it.
and
That's
you realize, hey, wait a second. Wait a second. If we've done that,
that's
we
it,
can do
man.
that.
That's it.
And so you just keep persisting.
I love that. It's a matter of looking at your own progress,
How
regardless of
far
what's
we've
ahead
come.
of you, man. Perfectly said, my friend. I love it.
All right, so we got to go a little bit faster. I got to ask you one more story question a little bit. At some point, every entrepreneur that I've talked to hits rock bottom. They get a point where it sucks and it's got to get better from here. Where was that for you?
Man, I tell you, being in the real estate industry and being out there and with everything we just talked about, like being driven that way. I remember once losing 99.9% of my income because of making some mistakes. Credit got trashed, almost hit bankruptcy levels. Kids are eating like literally rice and eggs. And it was a horrible, horrible, horrible moment.
Yeah.
That was it for my wife and I. Like we hit complete like I was like a day, 24 hours away from literally signing the bankruptcy documents. I did not. I ended up with at the time a few properties in foreclosure. It got pretty bad, and the way we got over that is through divine heavenly prayer, and we believed, man, exactly what you said. With wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We were able to step back and say we have been through things in our family, not necessarily monetarily, but through our marriage, through this, through that. And when you start to look back at yourself, not at others, at yourself and the things that you've been through, you get so much more power out of it. Like, your divine creator has brought you out of this, out of that, out of this. And that, my friend, got us on a new journey. Just being able to draw energy from that and start from zero again. So that was my moment, man.
Love
Uh,
it.
but today I am so grateful for it because I teach on it a lot. I
Gives you
teach
a new perspective and just one more thing to be saved, to be redeemed from that
so
situation as well.
huge, man. I mean, we give thanks for those moments because, to your point earlier, the new George, the current George, is a part of that process, and I would not trade that if I had to.
I hear you. All right, so got to go in a little bit of a lightning round, George. Just for your first quick take on these questions,
Sure.
kind of get a better sense of you. What is the most important thing you learned in the process of doing everything you've done?
We just hit on it. Just being thankful, man.
All right.
Thankful.
What are you most proud of in business you've accomplished?
Being able to help my team members get to the finish line.
Love it. Similar question, but a little bit more personal. What are you most proud of in life you've accomplished?
Being building a sustainable and a marriage that my children can look up to.
Beautiful. That's a great one, man. One piece of advice you'd give our listeners.
Do hard things.
Love it. All right. This could be a tough question, but it may be easier for you than for some.
Okay, go for it.
What's the one book you tell people, look, if you're going to read anything, this is the book you got to read?
I'll tell you. I would point them to scriptures, man.
Yeah, man. Me too.
I would point them to scriptures. Regardless of what your beliefs are, there's a lot of truth. And it claims to have the truth. The only way you're going to know is give it a try. Read
Absolutely. No, best place to be. All right. Maybe even tougher question. Favorite movie of all time, George? What's the movie, if it's on, you're not changing the channel?
The Bodyguard, man, back in the 90s.
All right. Good film. Good film. Famous person in history you'd want to meet if you could?
Bruce Lee.
All right. Similar question, but even more personal. What person from your past would you want to sit down with and have lunch with today if you still could?
My mother.
All right. One piece of advice you'd go back and give a younger version of you. What did young George need to hear?
Get up. Don't whine. Keep going.
All right. If you had to be stuck in a foxhole taking fire, who's the person you got in there with you?
I want to say my older brother.
Okay. Last question I have for you, George. Where can people find you?
Me personally, LinkedIn. There you can reach out through LinkedIn, Jorge Gayle with a J, JORGE, GAYLE. And Black Swan Group, .com, blackswangroupltd.com. That's where, if you need assistance with negotiations, you can find us.
Absolutely. As the negotiating expert on here, George, it was great having you on. I'll give you the last word. Is there anything else you want to add about Black Swan Group or that we didn't cover today?
Yeah, don't be shy about learning new skills, adapting to new skills, and constantly improving your negotiations. Negotiation is just not a monetarily exchange, it's life. Anytime there's a want or there's a need, you're in the middle of a negotiation. So why not use it? Why not get better at it?
Absolutely. Guys, look, these guys, Black Swan Group, are renowned to be the best at what they do. And
Thank you.
negotiation is a skill set that you are going to need for the rest of your life. Getting better at it can only make you more persuasive with your family, with your kids, with your business, with yourself in learning how to deal with all of those things. So positioning yourself to be getting better at something that you need all the time, it is one of the core competencies, I tell you, for real estate, but it's also a core competency for life. So figure out how to get around these guys and learn from them. George, I'm just so grateful that you came on and for hanging out with me.
This was great, man. I appreciate the time.
My pleasure. And I want to thank our listeners, guys, for hanging out with us. I hope you have a wonderful time. And as I remind you every time, there is never a good excuse not to know your shit. Till next time.